1:10 in the afternoon. Beginnings, endings, world card in my mind's eye. Hello everyone, this is Ellie of Herbcraft by Ellie Apothecary. So, in my kitchen, handcrafting some tea for myself. Got 2 batches going, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Got a non-caffeinated passion flower medicinal calming brew for today. And then tomorrow I'm setting up a mason jar of the same but with caffeine using some green yerba mate. Don't mind the tea clanking around as I do this. 1:11, new beginnings. So, just meditated outside. This is just a little kickback ASMR, whatever it is, for the community. Those of you that love to join me on these little moments. I'm starting to sing a little song. Get some beautiful chamomile, German chamomile. You hear that? Isn't that pretty? Maybe some real ASMR, not just a recording I call ASMR. What do you know? Here. You know something funny? I used to despise ASMR. Can you believe that? I used to despise it, and then I transmuted that. So tonight is, forgive me for the pronunciation, but it's Walpurgisnacht. It is the Germanic festival right before Beltane. Beltane is officially tomorrow, which is also known as the Day of the Fairies, right? And tomorrow we also have the full moon in Scorpio event. The moon goes into Scorpio on my side of the country in the US around 10:30 in the morning. So this is a liminal time. This is like the veil is thin. So if you ever wanted to try to see a fairy, tonight is the night. Though I have no idea when I will be releasing this content. This is purely inspired. Anyways, throat chakra rebuke. Thank you so much. All right, got our passion flower. Yeah, okay. Haters be hating. So I was like, you know, I'm gonna make some IDGAF tea and I'm gonna sing a little song, and I thought I would bring y'all along with a nice little recording. So what's going on in my life? Well, I don't really share that publicly anymore. I keep to myself here on the mountain. I've got some energies that are here to support me who, you know, we don't really talk about the hard times. We just enjoy the good times together because that's the energy we vibe with. Yeah. And half of that is spirit because, as you know, I am a psychic medium empath. Put a little catnip in here too. Meow. Just a little touch. Really soothes the nerves, let me tell you. So, I will say, however, that spirit, I love you, spirit, but spirit has been testing my freaking patience this week, let me tell you. Now, it's all for good, right? It's all for good. Of course it is. We love you, spirit. And being a psychic medium empath who channels for the collective and creates when inspired, I've been inspired every single day of this week to create. I have had this idea, I've had that idea, like fully embracing my Empress mode. Every single day they said, no, Ellie, not today. And I argued, I kicked, I screamed. Okay, I didn't do all that because, you know, I'm regulated now. But I told him we had to work through some things, let me tell you. You know, when you live a hermit life and you serve the collective and you work with spirit day in and day out, not just when you do messages, right? You commune. You commune with spirit, you know. Anyways, we got some spearmint and peppermint for rejuvenation and restoration. Also raising those vibes. Oh, here's some hibiscus. You hear those pretty flowers? Ooh, ah. Anyways. So, I guess this is kind of a vlog. And I would be recording this, but I use my laptop, and I'm just like, you know, we're going to go old school with the ASMR and just be in the present moment. That's one of the beauties and why I started recording on my little audio recorder, is that I could just be on the fly with y'all. I could be in the moment and not worry about lighting and wearing the right outfit and makeup, because honestly, y'all, I don't really wear makeup. Sometimes I do, and I look extra nice. I do like to put effort into myself, but you know, like, I just, yeah. Anyways, oh, here's some cinnamon sticks, little 1-inchers. Yeah, I used to despise ASMR. I couldn't stand people who would do clinking or any of those things, but these are nice little herbs. So I guess you could call this an apothecary tea session with Ellie. ASMR. Enjoy the jar spinning. Oh, for F's sake. Y'all, just ride with me. Just ride. You know, depending on my mood, maybe I'll pull a couple cards. I don't know. I'm putting in also, by the way, I didn't mention this, but I also put in some red clover blossoms, which are beautifully abundant on my land right now. Oh, y'all, okay. I had, real quick though, I put in strawberry leaf. That's for my inner child. Yeah. I grew up picking berries and strawberries like everywhere from California up to the Idaho mountains, because I have family all up and along the West Coast. And one thing we do is go out into the woods and whatever and pick berries, blackberries. And then my other grandma was loved her strawberries and raspberries. So I remember I'd pick like Idaho fresh garden raspberries and just eat them right off the plant. Oh my goodness. And strawberries, I've always loved strawberries. Anyways, so it makes me think of my childhood. So to treat my inner child, which here's a little idea for you. Think of something you enjoyed when you were a kid and give it to yourself and dedicate it to your inner child. It'll bring you happiness and joy. At least that's the intention I set with all my teas, right? We got the medicinal properties, then we got the freaking magical intentions, because we be kitchen witching it up in this, you know what. All right, cool. So hibiscus is also great for beauty and strength and courage and protection. And if you are one who is pagan, work with the darker goddesses. And I don't mean negative. I'm not talking about any devil worship here. I'm talking about, like, you know, goddesses who have dual natures. You know, the ones that are badass and in balance with their light and shadow, just like me. So representing in the house, hey, Hecate, Persephone, Lilith, and the list goes on and on. Kali, Oya, you know. So, fun little fact, if you are a little witchy and you want to leave an offering just to pay tribute to show your love, Isis also, Isis especially, she was a goddess of magic and medicine making. So whenever I have my tea, and I am making loose leaf, obviously, when I've had my tea, I offer the herbs in the bag to Isis and all other magical and healing spirits ancestors, and aspects of myself that love herbal medicine and the magic making of crafting your own goodies. So there's the tea sound. Mix it up in the bag. Ooh, you're really getting an experience today. I also put a little bit of marshmallow leaf for those of you that might have a little congestion from allergies or whatever. It works like an expectorant, just a little bit, not too much, and it will help pull stuff out. It's the same thing as taking a store-bought mucus expectorant. Like I'm not going to list any name brands, but you can kind of put together what I just said. So it's the same thing. It'll pull it from your lungs and clear your chest. Now, again, always check with your doctor about herbs, because I don't know what you take, right? I don't know your body, but private consults with herbalists can help you figure that out. And the thing is it's not advertising, oh, you should only do herbal medicine. No, you should definitely work with a doctor too. But the thing is the beauty about I've been meaning to say this, the beauty of herbal medicine versus just store-bought medicine, okay? Let's use a cold, for example, and I'm going to blow your minds here, okay? In a good way, right? When you utilize herbal medicine that works with your body, that you know is safe to take, right? That keeps your natural rhythms along with other factors. It's holistic, right? It's not just herbal medicine is the cure. I'm not going to go into all the specifics. You can figure out what a holistic life is for you, you know, food and all the other things, right? But when you consistently utilize tea with herbal medicine, using safe, edible, or drinkable herbs, you can also use them topically for other things, right? Which is what I do in my apothecary. I, first of all, started making herbal products and working in an apothecary because I have lived with some conditions off and on throughout my life and wasn't quite receiving solutions from doctors. And I started studying, I started researching, I started to find another way, and therefore I started to improve the quality of my life using these other systems on top of working with professional doctors, right? So it can go hand in hand. That's the point, right? You go to the doctor when you really need something right now, or it's more serious, like you need a surgery. Hopefully you don't, but stuff like that, you know what I mean? But when you consume herbal medicine that is safe to consume, and you know it is for you, you are doing something that is preventative, right? So you are consistently putting good things into your body that keeps you from getting, we'll use getting sick as an example, from getting sick. Now that doesn't mean you never get sick, because things happen, especially if you're a parent. Let me tell you, you all know the seasonal colds happen, right? Here's an example, okay? My kid brought home a nasty cold. When was that? February, and then again last month. It was almost like back to back. Each month we had colds. But, you know, as much as I may try, I have tried to get my teenager to consume tea like I do, but I'm not going to force it, right? So I consistently use tea and medicinal herbs that I know that assist me. So when they got sick, I got a little sick, but I barely got sick. And let me tell you, before I had some life-changing things happen in the last few years, and I changed the way I live holistically and all that, I actually used to be immunocompromised, right? I had a chronic illness. I actually healed it through both medical and also holistic healing. That's a story for another time. But the point is I used to be immunocompromised. I would get sick before anyone else, like stupid sick. Like I worked customer service most of my life before I started my apothecary and before I had chronic illness that I was aware I had it, but I didn't know I had it, right? So the people I would work with, someone would sneeze in my direction and I would get sick, like full blown, right? I was super susceptible. So when I started studying plant medicine, and this was actually before the big pandemic. I don't even know. Can you? I imagine you can say that online now. I don't know, y'all. I've been out here for a long time. Anyways, I don't really care. Point is that I was going through that during that situation with the world, right? But it helped me transition into a more holistic way of being. And the point is that I started to realize that this was actually helping me, right? So we were talking about a cold, right? The fact that my kid got like stupid sick for like 2, 3 weeks, had a lingering cough, and of course I was treating it the best I could and they were doing what they could, but they got full blown sick. I got a little tickle for like 2 days in my throat. I thought I was going to start getting sick, but no, I just kept up on my regimen. I upped my herbs, the different ones that are specific, like marshmallow leaf. You can also use mullein, and I also use slippery elm root as well. Okay. So, by the way, don't swallow these things. You can swallow slippery elm root powder because it's ground down to a pulp. You can even, I put it in my coffee sometimes in the morning. And for those of you that are public speakers, it will actually, or singers, you can actually smooth out your vocal cords with it. There's a couple of big major tea brand names that put it in their throat infusions. I don't want to say specific brands or names because I'm not sponsored, but you get my point. So there's all kinds of ways you can utilize these different herbs to help. And I wrote this really great quote the other day. Actually, why don't you just hang there for 1 sec? I'll be right back. I'm going to go get it. All right, I am back. 122 on the clock. New beginnings with mastery and also marrying stability. Cool. I wrote, herbal medicine utilized consistently is first preventative, second curative, and third restorative. All right. Maybe I'll take a picture of this for y'all and put it as the image for this ASMR. We'll see. We'll see. Whatever I'm inspired to do, right? So the thing is when you are utilizing these natural remedies, you are giving your body a chance to fight things off in advance, like preventative, right? And the curative nature is that here's where the difference between treating a cold with cold medicine versus herbal medicine makes a difference. Yet again, if you already have a routine, a regimen of herbs and spices you use, also using them in your cooking, putting more herbs and spices in your food that are safe to eat, you can do that too. That will also be a part of a routine you can keep to have holistic health. I do that, okay? However, the difference between cold medicine and using natural herbs, which by the way, when I was sick, I don't use over-the-counter meds. And here's why. It's not that I'm against them, okay? Cold medicine is meant to cover up symptoms to get you through it. Herbal medicine is meant to heal you, to cure it. Now, that doesn't mean that everything will cure. And while you may find relief and it may help you sleep, and if you also take cold medicine that helps with like expectorants, then yes, that is similar to like taking marshmallow root or something naturally. But the thing is when you've strengthened your body through herbal medicine or herbs and spices and other holistic treatments, again, drinking water, hydrating is also an obvious one, you give yourself a chance. So because I already had a regiment And remember, I used to be immunocompromised. I'm not anymore, okay? Because I use it preventatively, and I enjoy it. I really do. I set intentions, and again, you don't have to be a witch or pagan to use kitchen witchery or set intentions. It's like praying, right? And you're not praying to a plant, okay? It's not like that. You're imagining the experience you want to have, kind of like visualizing something you want, right? And then you are knowing, if you know about herbs and plants, they all have different corresponding properties to them, medicinally and magically, okay? Just like crystals do, okay? Yeah, we're going woo-woo. That's what we do here, right? In a good way. I have reclaimed that word in case y'all hadn't figured that out. So, anyways, so you can use different things. So like chamomile we know is very calming, right? It also attracts positive abundance. I actually have a natural herbal mist I created back in 2019, I think it was, when I was still experimenting before I made my shop official. By the way, you can personally request items. That is the only way I am making sales right now. If I make sales, I'm mostly focused on the 5D spiritual work right now. But you can email me and request to make you a handcrafted product. And right now I'm pretty much shipping in the States. I could probably make it to Canada too, but you know, I'm kind of sticking with my locale, but I will be up and running again with my shop online in the coming months or years. We'll see how it develops. I'm currently going through some life transformations, so I'm just taking it easy like Spirit's advising me to do, okay? So back to the point. Chamomile we know is calming. I do have an herbal mist called Calm Abundance, and it's like a cleansing spray, and it's an empowering spray, right? You imagine the intentions you want. You hold those physical items and you imbue them with the experience. Very similar to how I infuse all my readings with the energy of the moon that the sign is in at the time of those readings, right? So you're essentially infusing energy into items, and then you're letting it go and imagining it so. Just like you would do a vision board about something that you want to bring into your life. 133. We may have some ascended masters in the house. Welcome. So you take this energy, you imagine what you want with it, and whether you believe it works or not, you're setting the intention that you experience these things, which means you're more open to receiving that kind of energy. And everything is energy. I mean, that's what readings are, is reading energy and signs and symbols and cards, and depending, not everybody reads energy as a reader, right? But that's kind of the way I can explain how you can work with plants magically or through intention or however you want it. People who are more on the Christian leaning side of things or Abrahamic, you can ask God. You can ask God to, you can pray over and say, God, I'd really like to experience happiness and joy, and I've heard that chamomile does that naturally as a tea. If you could kindly make me experience more happiness and joy, I'm praying for that, God. Can you please help me? You see what I mean? It doesn't have to be scary. It's all the same thing. Prayers, intentions, meditating on something, visualizing, it's all the same thing. It's putting energy towards a goal and intention and experience, and then trusting that you deserve to have that happen. And then letting it go. You can either let it go to the universe, the divine, source, your ancestors, your higher self, however you want to see it, right? And whether you believe or not in the beginning, the more you practice these things, positive change will happen in your life, okay? And as you can hear, the tea kettle's starting to get all juicy for us, right? Okay, I have to make tomorrow's batch. So let me just tell you right now. So when you're taking herbal medicine versus, and we're just going to say teas for example, versus just taking a modern medicine that isn't meant to actually pull anything from you, It may help with fevers, but you know what? So do herbs, okay? White willow bark is infamous. Now, be careful. Yet again, check with your doctor or your personal history or another professional herbalist or holistic healer to make sure you can take some of these, because some of these herbs you shouldn't take. Like white willow bark, for anybody who has severe kidney or organ issues, same with even red clover blossom or dandelion root, all of those detoxify your filtration system. So if you don't have your entire organs intact, or they suffer, or you have some kind of disease, you're not going to want to put that stress. There's a certain way that you have to utilize the medicine, right? Same with if you have gut issues, there's certain ones you don't want to use. Now, something I realized, because I used to have a sensitive gut, the reason I started taking medicinal herbs for fevers and stuff like that is I can't take name brand pain or fever reducers, because there was a point in my life where I experienced ulcers from it, and I had a lot of gastrointestinal distress, and I developed an allergy to it. So what does one do if they can't use over-the-counter fever reducers? Well, herbal medicine. So not only is white willow bark great for reducing fevers, you can also use it topically as a pain reliever. Well, let me tell you, there's nothing better than a little bit of white willow bark mixed with a little bit of ground slippery elm root in your coffee in the morning if you have a toothache. It works. And it also calms and cools you down, similar to how peppermint does. And the great thing about slippery elm root is it also helps your gut. It actually helps produce mucus in your body. Now, if you have an overproduction of mucus, again, you might want to just watch that. But if you're looking to expel a cold, it's a very great way to do so. So, I know a lot of y'all know that I haven't talked a lot about the mundane side of my service. So I thought, why not? I'm going to share a little bit with y'all today. So that is how herbal medicine can be curative. If you're taking a simple cold medicine, and I'm not going to use name brands yet again, to get through a cold, you're taking it to help you sleep, to help you get through the misery of it, right? But it's not actually curing you. It's not actually doing anything for your body except with a fever reducer, right? Or maybe helping you sleep. But that's the thing, catnip also makes you sleep, right? A tiny bit. I've talked about this before. So if you know how to utilize these things, and you can talk to an herbalist or an apothecarist, however you want to call it. By the way, for those of you that don't know what an apothecary is, they were the traditional pharmacies. Yes, look into that. And apothecaries actually were more traditionally known as starting with Chinese medicine, okay? There's all kinds of different medicine principles and modalities you can look into. I personally practice folk medicine, right? So I call upon the knowledge and wisdom of my local environment, my ancestors, and my self-study, which is one reason, everyone, why herbal medicine is not regulated as much in the States, because it's one of the last free people principles you can practice, like freedom of speech. At least we're supposed to be able to. I won't get political, don't worry. Just saying, it is one of the last practices that we can use to help ourselves independently using natural systems, right? And there has been a lot of fear projected into that, a lot of misinformation, okay? People who actually study plant medicine and use folk traditions to utilize natural medicines know what they're doing. You know not to pick a certain plant, you know not to do this, you know not to do that. Where you hear about a lot of the bad things happening is, first of all, is people being in fear mindsets, and something happens and people just make it way out of proportion and scare people not to be independent thinkers and learn a craft that could actually help them, especially people who don't have access to health care or good health care. It's a tool, right? So learn how to use the tool, be safe, and if you need, find a mentor. And you don't have to go to a professional school to learn this. That's the beauty about folk craft, right? But do make sure you know what you're working with. I've said this before, use a plant identifying app. I use, and again, I'm not sponsored. What's it called? Picture This. Okay, it's like $1.99 a month on Google. Okay, so Picture This is a great, accurate app to identify plant specimens. Just take a picture and it'll give you a whole profile. You do have to know enough about plants to be able to pick the correct plant. So always go through and compare and contrast the different options they give you. And again, you can do this in a group. You can find some hobbyists who go out into nature. You can go to your natural resources place in one of your local communities who actually teach people about these things, who will take you on nature walks, who will tell you about the local culture and horticulture. And there's the tea. I'm just going to let that go for a second for those of you that like the sound of it. All right, that's enough. Wonderful. All right, so y'all got to experience the more earthy side of Miss Ellie today. So I hope you enjoyed that knowledge. Again, be safe. But the last part of this quote is it's restorative, right? So it'll help you mend and heal faster. Again, my teenager, who, by the way, I don't know if they're going to hear this, happy belated birthday on a public scale. My baby just turned 18. Oh my gods. 18. Any other parents out there going through this? I only have one, but yeah, drop a comment if you are a parent and your baby's flying the nest too. All right. It is an adventure. Like I said, transitory times for me and big changes happening, and I'm so freaking excited. You know, a lot of people fear change, and I've been tested to embrace it and to be comfortable with the uncomfortable. That's part of being a guide, is you have to know how to navigate the terrain before you show other people how to trek through it, right? So Spirit has tested me. They prepared me. They have embraced me, and I have embraced them. And I'm so excited for this next journey in my life. It's very different. Big good things are happening for me. And you know, this whole recording started because I was transmuting energy with singing, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna get into the zone of feeling good about myself, because you know what? 143, I love you too, collective. There are a lot of people who still want me to suffer, and I'm not a victim. And I actively choose love over fear. So I'm not going to speak directly to some of the opposition I have going on in my life right now. I'm not going to get into it. I'm not going to ruin the vibe. I just want you all to know that in order to attract support from others, you got to support yourself. And sometimes that means finding joy in difficult moments, right? Especially if you deal with energy and you are, hey, 144, I love you too, soul family. When you can find a way to transmute and alchemize your emotions and raise your vibrations for yourself, you will continue to attract your tribe that will do that with you. And you know, there's some things I've gone through in the last few years that should have destroyed me. In fact, there were people who wanted it to. And now they're pissed that it didn't. And to those people, I hope they heal, and I hope they find their way, and I hope they choose love too. And it probably would piss them off to hear me say that, but that's not why I'm saying it. I'm saying it because I've truly forgiven. I worked on myself and I moved on. And for those of you that are also struggling with whatever it is in your life, find something that brings you joy. Find something that helps you ground into the moment. Okay? And Soul Family, Soul Tribe community is here. If you like my vibe, feel free to subscribe. And yes, I did indeed plan on doing multiple videos this week, but every time I went to go do it, Spirit's like, nope, change of plans. And here's a little thing about me. I'm stubbornly independent, okay? I used to be hyper independent and then I calmed myself down a little bit. Now I'm just stubbornly independent, but not in a negative way, in a persistent way, in an obnoxiously persistent way. So when I learned how to collaborate with spirit over the last few years with this ascensions, I just had another upgrade, by the way, folks. Whew, let me tell you, that'll come out in the next reading. I had to learn to let go of my pride, my ego, and having to do things my way. And let me tell you, one side of my family are stubborn Irish folk, okay? Y'all know how stubborn the Irish are, okay? We like to do things our own way, and nobody's going to tell us that we can't do it, right? Right. So I had to break some generational curses and surrender, right? I had to learn how to go with the flow, despite me being a Pisces sun sign, which is supposed to be my natural rhythm, right? I was going against the flow my whole life. And then this entire process over the last few years and this third spiritual journey that you could say probably started about 2017. It's been quite the ride. And yes, folks, I am writing about it in my book, the one I've been hinting at. One for one and all for one. All right, anyways, divining with the clock. That'll come out when it comes out. I feel like I could go on and just talk to y'all for a while, but I'm just going to leave it there. And I would love it if you would hit the like button. You don't have to, but, you know, this is a community. And I don't really show up for praise. I show up because I didn't used to have a community. So I created one, and now I'm happy to show up. And I know others are too. So feel free to leave in the comments if you like to work with plants, or you have a favorite tea, or even if you're a gardener. If you like to cook with certain herbs and spices, or you've had experiences where you have recovered from illness or whatever with natural remedies, or you've learned certain things, feel free. You know, keep the vibe up and support each other. And I look forward to talking to you all again soon. This is Ellie. And just to top this reading off, to be an obnoxious ASMR, I'm going to pour this tea into this jar for y'all to hear. And then I'm going to say adieu. Happy celebrations. Walpurgisnacht. Again, apologies if I butchered that. And happy Beltane, my loves.